Hello and welcome back to London Cycle Routes. Today I'll be showing you how to cycle from Upton Park in East London to Leytonstone in North East London. This ride takes about 20 minutes and you can do the whole thing on quiet streets and protected cycle lanes. By public transport, the same journey takes over half an hour and requires a change of tube line, so cycling is a great way to make this trip. Especially thanks to a new low traffic neighbourhood which launched in the last couple of weeks and has quietened down a lot of the streets on the route. If you find this video useful or you just enjoy watching it, then please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, as I try to post new videos just like it every week. I'd also like to say a huge thank you to everybody who supports the channel on Patreon. If you'd like to contribute too, then you can find a link in the description below the video. Alright, let's get going. So we're starting on Green Street just north of Upton Park tube station, and we're going to turn around and we're going to head down Boleyn Road. This video was shot at around 9 AM, so the tail end of rush hour, but as you can see Boleyn Road is still reasonably quiet. That's partly because it's one way for cars at this end, but two way for bikes, as you can see from that blue sign, which limits its usefulness as a cut through for people driving. It makes it much more useful for us though on a bike as a relatively quiet way of getting from Green Street through to the West Ham Park area, which is where we're going to be heading through today. Newham Council, which is the highway authority around here, recently installed a new low traffic neighbourhood around West Ham Park, and while it's not massive in size, it's still opened up quite a few cycle routes, particularly around Upton Park and also east of Stratford. We're also going to be using the cycle paths in West Ham Park itself, which is just up ahead here. We need to cross Upton Lane to get to it, and there isn't actually a crossing to get from Boleyn Road there, so you'll need to wait for a gap in the traffic here and then just head for the gate. You see that zebra crossing on the left. If you have trouble you could dismount and walk across that, and it would be great to see that crossing converted into a joint pedestrian and cycle crossing as well at some stage in the future, as this is a useful cycle link. West Ham Park has an interesting history. Despite being located in the London Borough of Newham, it's actually managed by the City of London Corporation in the same way that the city manages Hampstead Heath. Today it's quite a conventional public park, but in the 1700s it was actually the site of a botanical gardens which supposedly rivaled Kew Gardens. Although there's not much sign of that today, until 2016 there was actually still a plant nursery in the corner of the park, growing plants for other parks and also for use on state occasions. The park does close at night, so if you're doing this route after dark, you'll need to cycle briefly on Upton Lane, then left into West Ham Park Road and join the route here. We're now in the West Ham Park low traffic neighbourhood. You probably saw the planters and no entry signs on the right hand side there as we exited the park. The new layout of the streets has particularly quietened down Marjorie Park Road, which we're on now. As you can see, we've got a clear run with a nice wide carriageway. I did get a bit of pushback when I said this before on the channel, but I actually think Newham Council is doing quite a good job when it comes to cycling. They have a rolling programme of LTNs, including this one, which puts them in a relatively select few boroughs, and they're also building a lot of protected cycle lanes. That includes one on Romford Road, which we're just crossing here. This whole junction will have protected lanes, including leading into Marjorie Park Road and Norwich Road. But they're also building a really high quality route through from London City Airport, through Canning Town, and connecting to Cycleway 3, which will be done quite soon, I think in the early months of next year, and I'll do plenty of videos showing that off, so do make sure you're subscribed if you'd like to see what that's like. Other projects they're doing are an absolute ton of protected lanes around the Queen Elizabeth Olympic Park area, around Stratford, and also just Stratford Town Centre. So I think that's a really great programme, and although they're starting from a low base, compared to other boroughs they are doing a lot and they're doing it well. Since we crossed Romford Road, by the way, we've actually been in a different Newham low traffic neighbourhood. This is Atherton LTN, which has been running for a few years now, and as you can see, it's a joy to cycle through with very little in the way of traffic in it. Now, I know people like to watch these videos for different reasons. Some people like the cycle directions, some people like the historical facts, some people just find them relaxing. And the other day I was really pleased to discover a new reason. Thor from Sweden writes in to tell me that his English teacher Stephen uses them in his English classes to great effect, and he also asked me to give a shout out to Stephen and pass on that his class thinks he's doing an amazing job as a teacher. As they say in Sweden, bra gjort. Now, after using this rather nifty cycle path under a housing estate, we find ourselves in another Newham low traffic neighbourhood. This is actually a joint LTN between Newham Council and Waltham Forest, and it's been in place pretty much since 2020. Like the other areas we cycled through, it's had through traffic removed with the introduction of strategic modal filters or road closures, just like the one up ahead, which prevents cars from driving through it. We won't be cycling through it either. Today we're actually going to be turning right and heading down Buckingham Road, which turns into Cemetery Road. It's called Cemetery Road because it runs along West Ham Cemetery, the wall of which is just on our left here. The most famous and impressive grave here is probably of Evelina de Rothschild from the famous Rothschild banking family. She is buried in an impressive mausoleum built for her in 1866, complete with a dome and Corinthian columns. Her story is quite tragic though. After marrying her second cousin Ferdinand James de Rothschild, she then died in childbirth at the age of 27. Her husband, who is now also buried there, was heartbroken and built not only this mausoleum but also the Evelina Children's Hospital, which is named after her. The hospital is still running to this day and is now located near Westminster Bridge. It's been incorporated into the NHS. I've used it and it is very, very good. Shout out to all the staff there who do a fantastic job. Now, this route is faster than the public transport options available, and I dare say driving as well, but it does use quite a lot of back streets and has a few wiggles in it. If you need help following it, you can always download the map of the route, which I link to in the description below the video. You can either use it on the website it's uploaded to, Komoot, they have an app as well, or download the GPX file and use it in whatever app or device you prefer. It's a standard format. I make maps like that for all my videos, and one viewer has actually put them all together in a single Google map of all the different London cycle routes videos, which is a great way to browse the different routes available. It's linked below too, and make sure you check it out at the end, as I don't shout about it enough. If you're enjoying the video so far, do make sure that you hit subscribe on the channel if you're not subscribed already, so that you're alerted for new videos on your YouTube homepage. And if you love what we're doing here and are feeling generous, you could always join the legends on the London Cycle Routes Patreon and throw me a few quid. I really appreciate you guys helping to support the channel. Now, Harrow Road here is a bit on the busier side, but fortunately there is a cycle crossing here to help us get over it. You cycle on the shared pavement to get to it, just like I did there. This kind of crossing is really crucial for linking different low traffic neighbourhoods together and makes them far more useful than just little islands of low traffic. The idea is that you stitch together all these low traffic streets and you can really get anywhere without interacting by traffic, and in parts of town like this, that vision is a little bit closer to becoming reality, certainly than in some other parts of town anyway. You do need protected infrastructure on the main roads as well, but this approach is really one important part of the puzzle so that people can get back to their homes, which won't be on the main transport corridors mostly, without having to interact with traffic, as you can't put protected lanes absolutely everywhere. Now we're turning off the streets here and we're going to use this little path over the Wanstead Flats. This path is a little bit on the narrow side and is shared with pedestrians, so do just make sure that you're courteous and careful as you ride down here. There isn't a huge amount in the way of lighting through here, so if you're planning on taking this route regularly after dark, you might want to make sure that you have a decent set of lights. Fortunately, it is quite open and it's also relatively short. So in terms of off-street paths that you might encounter cycling around London, I think it's probably among one of the easier ones to navigate. The rest of the route to get from here up to High Road Leytonstone is basically just straight up Mornington Road, which is also in a low traffic neighbourhood. This is two-way for bikes and one-way for cars. The signage is a little bit inconsistent, but you can see that there are some touches like the two-way cycle symbols here and the accept cycles sign underneath the one-way signs there, which do suggest that you are allowed to cycle in both directions down this street. Waltham Forest, the borough which we're in now, is one of the best for cycling in London, if not the best. I was reading through their infrastructure plan, which was recently published the other day, and they actually have plans to build even more stuff. They're going to be building protected cycle lanes all the way up to Chingford Mount, and there'll also be an extension of protected lanes down High Road Leytonstone itself, probably going down to Stratford and Newham. And those are both going to open up lots of new routes, so do make sure that you're subscribed to the channel so that you don't miss those. And we've made it. We're here at High Road Leytonstone, and I'm just going to get off my bike and walk down the pavement just to show you the place if you don't know it. There is a protected cycle lane running down part of the street, and there are some quite nice buildings, and I kind of like what they've done with the high street here as well. It's a pretty nice part of town. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. If you enjoyed that, do please leave a like on the video as it boosts it in YouTube's algorithms and helps other people find it. And obviously do make sure you hit subscribe if you're not subscribed already. Let me know in the comments what you think of the route. How would you improve it? Would you go a different way? As you can see from the map there, it's pretty direct apart from getting over the railway, which we did a slight dogleg, but it wasn't really a problem, I don't think. It's still a lot faster than the other options available, which is the important thing. I will be doing more videos based on routes that are opened up by the new Upton Park low traffic neighbourhood, including ones into Stratford and others around the area, so do watch out for those on the channel. And thanks once again to everyone who supports the channel on the Patreon. There's a link in the description below the video for anyone else who would like to join them. I'll see you all in the comments or next time. Goodbye.